how are you all? The thing it is time to create time to exist. We will resume this interaction this evening every time with the notation, Night of Dreams. This is also your title.
Thank you.
In this way, the idea, as you term it, dreaming, is now something that is becoming more and more commonplace in the dream reality's ability to begin to blend into the physiological reality, recognizing that what you usually experience as the physiological reality is but a dream anyway, an extension of the dream reality, given a certain degree of solidity, the illusion of solidity, because it is the particular aspect of the dream world, of the dream self, the dream reality that you wish to experience yourself to be. This is for the purposes, as you have created them, of growth, of experience, of a particular facet, a particular avenue, a particular angle, if you will, of yourself, a particular idea, a particular notion, point of view, an aspect of the overall multi-dimensional being that you are, so you create the solidity, the limitation, the isolation of a particular portion of the overall dream that you are, so you can focus upon that one particular aspect, and so see yourself through that particular reflection to learn about yourself as an aspect of creation through that particular avenue, so that you may expand the understanding from many different points of view about the being that you are. This is what is part of the ongoing creation. The idea that as creation continues to unfold, the way it unfolds, generally speaking, to use your colloquial terminology, is that different aspects of creation create different points of view about that aspect of creation, so that it is not so much the idea truly, let us say, of addition to creation in an actual mass energy sense, but addition to creation in an expansion sense, an awareness sense, an experiential sense, a sense of creating anew a completely different and new, unique point of view through which creation can thus experience that much more of itself and expand into that much more of itself. It is all the idea of point of view, experience, and in this way, therefore, recognize that dream reality, now that you are recognizing the third density, physiological reality you have existed within for hundreds of thousands of years, to be an extension of your belief system, to be the result of what you believe your reality should be, to recognize that you are in fact creating your reality, to recognize that it is only a point of view of yourself that creates what you interact with as this supposedly exteriorized reality. This exteriorized reality only being a reflection of the idea you are being in the moment and exploring within yourself. You can now recognize that these physiological realities, these illusionary physiological realities, are extensions of the dimension of imagination in which you exist, are extensions of what you normally refer to as the dream reality that you have for so long considered to be something quite separate and apart from the physiological reality, and now are beginning to understand that they are one and the same. As you allow yourself more and more cognition that the dream reality, imagination reality, and physiological reality are different aspects of the same overall reality, then you will begin to recognize your physical life more in a dream-like way. There will be more things seemingly possible in your physiological reality, and they will be more effortlessly created with the same degree of effortlessness in which you change your realities in the dream state. In this way, you can begin to recognize that as you begin to blend the dream reality and the physiological reality, you will be surrounded in your life with more and more of what we have spoken of that you call synchronicity, more and more coincidence, not accidents, coincidence. There are no accidents, but coincidence will allow you to know that you are now consciously becoming aware, as you say, of the warp and the woof and the fabric, the weave of the web, of all the interconnectedness of all that is. You are beginning to recognize that everything is linked to everything else, and thus, when you allow yourself to exist in a synchronous harmony with the idea that the reality you experience is an extension of you, then you can begin to experience how it is an extension of you. You can begin to see the ideas you are exploring very clearly, very transparently, very clairvoyantly, which is clear-sightedly. You can begin to see all of the different paths and avenues you have created, projected out there for yourself. You can begin to see how they all feed back to you, how everything in that way feeds back to you and through you, and it is an extension from you in that way. You can see how all the paths you have created in your life extend and interact and intersect with all the other individuals in your life. You can see where the overlaps occur and why. You can understand the entire idea of what has for so very long seemed like a very random series of events to be one very intimately tied together, intimately interactive with everyone else, orchestrated to a very fine, specific degree. And in this, you can begin to recognize the idea that in there being no accident, then you can begin to allow all that you experience in your life to be there for a reason, to be there for a purpose, to be there to allow you to explore more and more of what it is you are discovering yourselves to be. And in this expansion, and in this willingness to know that as you interact with all other individuals, you are being given an opportunity to view and explore that much more of yourself by seeing in them a reflection of you and allowing them to perform that service for you as you perform the same service for them, then more and more ecstasy will also filter into your lives, flood the reality in which you exist, and your physiological reality will become very much like the idea you call your dreams. You will begin to live your dreams very literally, and you will find that what has for so long been relegated to the non-physical realm, the blueprint realm, the template realm upon which physical reality is formed, will begin to filter down, leak in, and imbue and infuse with physiological reality, and your ability to cause much more instantaneous physiological changes will then occur in your reality, because the mechanism that causes that change, the non-physical template, will be that much closer to you, will be that much more immediate within you, will not carry with it the degree of separation you have placed upon it, will be well within your hands, and in causing any change within that non-physical dream template, the physical reality must follow suit. It has no choice. Physical reality is but the shadow of the soul, the shadow of the dream reality, the shadow of the non-physical total consciousness that you are creating physical reality with. Are you all following along? Therefore, in this way, this night of your time, the night of dreams, there will be in the interactions we will be having with you this evening of your time, and the interactions that others will be having with you this evening of your time. These interactions, according to only your degree, pace, and level of willingness, nothing will be forced upon you, ever. But in your own degree of comfort, your own pace, whatever rate you are ready, doorways and gateways will be opening within your levels of consciousness this night of your time. Many of the so-called barriers between the different levels will now begin to dissolve and allow your consciousness to homogenize into more of one consciousness that allows you to act and function as a conscious conduit between the non-physical and the physical reality, an open and clear tunnel, channel, conduit for that which you relegate as your higher self, to allow it to come through and flow into physiological reality, so that the physical you can also act as a synchronistically harmonious component of the total consciousness that you are. So many of the ideas of the energies we are exchanging this day of your time, this night of your time, will have to do with the opening of those vibratory doorways within you. And you may begin to find this night of your time, and from this point forward, many, many, many changes within your dream realities, and therefore many changes and much degree of more momentum and acceleration within your physiological realities, again, according to the level of willingness you are creating in terms of allowing those gates to be open, allowing those barriers to be removed. But you will feel a difference. There is now, in our perception of your overall energy, the overall energy of your entire civilization, that is, a perception of yet another energy gate approaching. This gate is an opportunity, like all energy gates, for the total civilization, wherein aspects of the non-physical total civilization will be harmoniously aligned, and much of that will then begin to filter into your physical reality, and you will see more and more examples of the gate you have passed through after you have passed through it. You will, in a sense, therefore, accelerate through this gate onto another level that will allow you to know you have control over the realities you experience, over the realities you desire to experience. This gate exists approximately, in your terms of counting, between the dates you call the 27th day of the present of your month to the 5th day of the next month following. Within this time frame is a very, very strong energy gate that has to do with allowing many things from your past to come bubbling to the present, and allowing many ideas for the so-called future to become far more clarified than they have seemed to be. Many of you, as we have discussed before, are now having been existed in what you call a limbo state, where you feel everything to be unplugging in your lives and spinning around you, and do not see them plugging back in. They are starting to plug in now. This represents a thickening of the atmosphere, a thickening of the energy around you, the energy atmosphere, and this thickening represents that you are pulling more and more of your energy into the present. You will acclimate to this thickening, and then it will not seem so thicken. You will move through it with ease. It will not impede you, though for now it may make you a little bit sluggish. Recognize that one of the primary focal points within this span of time, the 27th to the 5th, will be what you call the 3 days, as we have spoken to you before, your 31st, your 1st, and your 2nd. For in this way, these 3 days are your ritualistic, symbolic representations of your remembrance the night before All Hallows Eve, the submergence of Atlantis. November 1st, the day of, and November 2nd, the day after. These are your 3 historical ideas represented in this ritualistic form you call All Hallows Eve, Halloween, All Souls, and All Saints' Day. You all follow along. Yeah. Therefore, since many of you now have had many incarnations there, and since many of you now are replaying many of the ideas that were played out there, yet choosing a different outcome, you will now find the opportunity that as you pass through this gate, many of these ideas will be brought to the forebear of your presence and allow you now to reclaim all that you have ever been and express conviction towards all you will ever be. For now, in your terms, is the night of dreams, and therefore the eve of the beginning of the solidification of the fourth density reality, which will gain much impetus in what you call the springtime of your new year coming. Children!
Bashar,
Yay!
I would like to ask you about a recurring dream that I have been having, which is one of getting up in the middle of the night and feeling like something is missing and that I am trying to find something desperately.
All right.
And I can't get a handle on
A handle! What does it feel like when you are looking for this thing you think is missing?
It feels like I'm missing it by a fraction of an inch. And
may I ask you a question?
yes.
In your imagination right now, will you relax for me for a moment? Do not be so desperate, all right? Now, will you exercise your imagination just a bit? Play along with me for a moment.
Yes.
Allow yourself now to relax and go inward in a meditative state, and simply, without judgment, imagine. How will you be when you find this thing you are missing by fractions of an inch? What differences will occur? How will you be different?
I don't know what my purpose is in life.
You don't. But that's very simple. it can come in two forms. First of all, recognize there never has been and never will be another individual like you. You follow me? You are unique. And even though you experience as an overall soul the idea you call reincarnation, you, the you are now, truly only does have one life to live. You follow me? Therefore recognize that you are a manifestation, a unique aspect in this life, in this form, as this idea of the infinite, of creation itself. You are unique. You follow? Yes. Therefore recognize the basic fundamental purpose of your life, this goes for every single one of you, is to fully be who you happen to be at this time. To fully be the idea you chose to be. To express and expand yourself along the lines that represent what is true for the being you are. You have created yourself to be. Now, the second part of this idea is also very simple. Did you understand the first part? How does it allow you to feel? How does understanding this idea that the fundamental purpose in your life is to simply be who you are, how does that allow you to feel?
It allows me to feel loving and the full amount of myself that I can be.
All right. Good stuff. Then recognize the idea, the second step, is nothing more drastic and nothing more complex than to express that idea. And express it not only for all to whom you are interacting with in service, but also for yourself. The same unconditional love for yourself that you express to all other individuals. And what this, let us say, pragmatically means is, well, let me ask you another question, may I? Are you doing in your life what excites you the most? Why not?
I'm blocking what excites me more.
Nonsense. What excites you right now? Right now, this very moment. What is the most exciting thing aside from doing what you are doing at this moment in this interaction? What is the most exciting thing that you can imagine doing?
I would like to be a parent.
All right. Recognize, therefore, that if that truly in your consciousness is the most exciting thing you can imagine doing, then all you need to do is begin to act like one. Act like an individual would act if that individual were a child. And in this way, recognize that if you know you are doing the most exciting thing in your life, you can recognize that the universe will completely and totally support you. And in this way, that means you will attract to yourself synchronistically, automatically, all the events, all the situations, all the people necessary to allow you to function as the idea you find most exciting. Without having to struggle, without having to strive, without having to sweat for it, as you say. You follow me?
Yes,
the idea is to allow life to work, which it does, rather than feel you have to make it work, which you cannot do. You follow me? Now, in your terminology, what does it mean to be a channel? Well, recognize that in a very real way you are always channeling. Always, 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 always. The very idea of what you are as a physiological being, by definition, makes you a conduit into physical reality of the higher self that you are. So you are a channel for the higher you, so that it can express itself in the realm you call physiological reality. You are already a channel. Being a channel is not learning how to do something you do not already do. You may redefine the idea of the way you are doing it. You may add specifics, but you are not learning anything new. Does that make it easier to begin with?
I understand all of that.
Oh, but...
You say act as that person, and I'm not sure how that...
All right, here we are. Thank you very much. The idea, once again, of going and trusting and relying upon the tool that is always in your life to serve you flawlessly, your imagination. What does your imagination say? What is the picture? Let's play this game a little bit further. What is the picture you have in your imagination of how you would be if you were a channel? Can you imagine yourself being a channel? You must be able to. Don't tell me that you can, because if you knew you wanted to be a channel, that means you have to be able to imagine that you can be.
I believe that I would be a very relaxed and not struggling for these things, that I would be able to simply sit down and do them and be...
All right. May I let you in on a little secret? You can do that right now. Do you believe that?
I do believe that.
Oh, really? All right. You go ahead. I am quite serious. Do you still believe it?
I want to believe it.
All right. That is all right. Now, first of all, once again, allow me to remind you, you are channeling right now. Remember? All right. Your ability to say, yes, means you are channeling. Because that, yes, comes from the idea of your higher consciousness. It also comes from your physiological consciousness, but the overall idea originates from the non-physical you, the oversoul that you are. Oh, there it is again. All right, now, rely upon your imagination to provide you with whatever technique, if you think you need one, that you think you need. In order to get into the relaxed state you think you need to be in, or will be in, as a channel. Go into this meditative, relaxed state and explore. Stretch your imagination out, open it out, and allow what comes in to come in. Do you trust that the idea of your channeling will always allow you to perform service in positive ways?
Yes.
Well then, if you are willing to allow yourself to simply be open to the whole idea, then you know that whatever comes to you will be what you need to allow you to serve in positive ways. You follow me?
Yes.
Therefore, there is no need to worry about, oh, well, do I need protection? You follow me? All right. Now, when you are in that relaxed state, you are immediately, always, availably in touch with what you call your guides and your own higher states of consciousness. No matter whether you interpret it at first as, quote-unquote, gibberish or not, allow whatever to come through, comes through. All right? And in this way, begin to explore. You will sense it out. You will feel it out. You will understand the differences. You will begin to sense the ideas. You will begin to sense the notations, the connections to everything, the interrelationships of all. All you need to do is be in that relaxed state and express your willingness to commence with this idea and ask for assistance. You will get it. Beyond the shadow of a doubt, you will get it. But they will not do everything for you. You follow me? All right. Now, also trust again with your synchronicity that if this is truly something that excites you the most, you will always attract yourself into the appropriate situations, always attract yourself to the appropriate literature if necessary. You will always have somebody recommend something to you that will be exactly what you need to allow you to progress in your growth as a channel. You follow me? And do not forget that the idea of your dream consciousness, in your dream consciousness you are always in communication with all those you have ever made all the agreements with. Everything is proceeding at the proper pace, always at the perfect pace. Always it is the pace that you are most comfortable with, so it is completely up to you to determine that pace. By allowing yourself to be more relaxed, then you increase the pace, because you're saying you are more willing to accept more. And thus things will become more obvious. You follow? Is any of this assisting you?
Yes, and in fact I have begun to do that.
Thank you, man. Pleasant dreams.
Bashar?
All right, you then you.
Okay. Well, it's always exciting talking to you, but tonight is astounding because what you said about Atlantis I just want to share something first, then I have something to ask you. Last week I went to a channeling with Jubal. Do you know of him? Spirit, Jubal?
We have what you would call a brief cognition, but not what you would call complete definition.
Well, where it was, there was a picture called Resurrection, and I love the movie. Every time I watch it, I cry again. I just love it, and it's loosely based on Alicia Morganwhite's story. And I've always felt this affinity to this film, and I found out I was going to meet her there. And I had a past life in Atlantis. Many. Yes. Oh, I hope to ask you about the other one.
Many of you think, oh, well, have I had a past life, and have I recognized that Atlantis existed for many thousands of years? Well, I had many past lives.
In one of those, I taught children to learn with crystals.
Hey.
And as I found out the other night, before I met Alicia, that she also worked in Atlantis with children with water, with colored water.
Right.
And I thought that was very exciting that we were both there. And also, I felt I had this relationship with her. I wanted to ask you too, when the 31st, the 1st, and the 2nd, aside from increasing my meditations in it, is there something else that I could do or add to some incisive...
You can beat a drum. Yes. The idea of the creation of that vibration alone, like that, in the pace that feels appropriate to you, will be reminiscent of another idea, another way of teaching in Atlantis, by aligning an individual with the beat of a drum, synchronizing all the autonomic systems with that beat of a drum, and allowing the person to absorb the information directly, intuitively, with the beat of that drum. You will then, by invoking the beat of that drum once again, recall many ideas and see many flashes within your imagination of those times.
Just a low sounding drum.
Okay. Something like what you call your heartbeat.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Guys.
Yay!
Yay!
It's good to be back. I was away for a couple of weeks and...
Really?
Yeah.
On another planet?
New York.
Please speak up.
New York felt like another planet.
Oh, right.
What I was dealing with just this week, it was the week of the Jewish New Year, and I heard once again a story that has always troubled me.
Troubled?
Yeah, it was the story of the binding of Isaac and how Abraham had almost killed him.
Hey.
I want to have some clarity with that story because
All right, go right ahead.
I get real angry every time I hear it.
Ah!
I don't know why, but I feel like it's never brought up the feelings of what Isaac must have been going through, thinking his father was going to kill him.
I see.
And even though nothing happened, he didn't get killed and he got down. That always bothered me, and I don't, of all the stories, I don't know why that one strikes me.
All right. Now recognize, first of all, the idea, once again, that you call anger is your opportunity to align with what you know to be true for you and to express the idea of your integrity. It does not have to be expressed in negative ways. Anger is for the purpose of aligning you with what you know to be true for you when you see something going on around you that you know is not true for you. But this does not mean you have to judge the thing you are seeing. It simply allows you the opportunity to know, by seeing the comparison of what you know not to be true for you, of what is true for you. So it has performance service for you. It has gotten you in touch with the ideas of integrity, of the polarities, of the positive and negative expressions within yourself, and put you squarely in the center of the recognition of those ideas. You following along so far?
Not really. I don't know what my integrity has to do with any of it.
Thank you. We are getting to that. I said, are you following along so far?
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. In this way, you have very strong connections to those times in your past. And the idea specifically is that You now know, because you were there and very conscious of the idea that you were there in those times, you are seeing a representation in what you call your biblical literature that in your terms does not ring true. The idea is being expressed in an expression of negativity. And what you are recognizing is that as it has been expressed, many things have been, quote-unquote, left out of the picture. Those things that have been left out of the picture are indicative of the way your society has structured itself to be, and placed upon much of the literature you are referring to a negative connotation overall. The idea of the, quote-unquote, wrath of a jealous God in this way. The idea of the demand seemingly placed upon your population by this God, so to speak. All of these ideas of the strictures, the rules, and the regulations rub you sorely. For you recognize that in those times you were very aware of what was going on many different levels, and you recognize that the idea of the imposition of limitation, the incurment of wrath and displeasure of the infinite had nothing to do with what much of your literature now interprets as the goings-on of those times. Are you following this more closely?
Yes.
In this way, therefore, this is your opportunity to clarify within yourself the understanding that you innately have, that the idea of an infinite and unconditionally loving Creator does not bespeak the ideas of the transgressions in the terms you call thou shalt not. These are interpretations of your civilization through the negative I, the negative ego in this way. As many of them feel it serves in this way for the control of the society. The expression of what you originally called the commandments are not commandments as such. They are recognitions of what you might call the action-reaction principles within the universe. They are indications of the ideas of the self-nurturing, the expansion of love, and the recognition that as you do so create in your reality as an outward expression, so do you compound upon yourself that same reality. You follow me? This is all was ever intended by the expression of those ideas, and they have been transformed in very negative ways in your society, and this is simply what you are getting angry about. The idea of what seems to be the injustice of an iron hand ruling all without consideration of the feelings of those they are, quote-unquote, ruling. But the infinite does not rule by control. The infinite, quote-unquote, is in commandment of the universe because the infinite is the universe. And as the infinite expresses itself, and as that expression is recognized by those who wish to be in synchronous harmony with the infinite, then they recognize that it is not so much the idea of commandments that are laid down, but, let us say, blueprints for how to be synchronistically harmonious with the idea of how the universe works. You follow me?
Yes.
Is this clearing up some of these ideas?
It's clearing up some of the ideas. Am I understanding that what you're saying is that this story didn't happen, and it was interpreted by the society for its own purposes, and
it is not so much that the idea of the story did not happen, but that it was an expression that leaves much out of all the different interactions that took place, and therefore is only left as a remnant, seemingly representative of the life in those times, and in general, it is not representative of the understanding you had in those times, nor that a very vast portion of your world even had in those times. But it's a very, as you would say, tunnel vision view of a particular aspect that was being explored by a particular faction of your society at that time.
Which was that of negativity and of limitation and of controlling by human beings.
Yes.
Okay. So you say that I know from having been in that time. Do you know what I don't have any
sense of that passage.
You were, in a sense, let us say for now, a chronicler, a scribe. You saw much, you shared much, you told of much. And now that you are seeing some of your works maligned and made incomplete, you are, in your own eyes, justifiably upset. This is not the way I wrote it. This is not the way it was. This tells nothing of the interactions. They have left much out. You are rebelling at the censorship that has occurred over the several hundreds of years that have passed since much of the writing. You follow me?
Yeah, fascinating. Gosh. I'd love to get, how can I get into a memory of that whole experience of what really happened there, so that I know what it was that they're leaving out?
Imagination is not a commodity in short supply. You again will also attract yourself to the appropriate forms of literature that will allow you to reclaim some of that. Recognize there are some forms of literature in your society that do recall some ideas that have for a very long period of time been left out of what you call the more official version. Yes. For in many ways you were a Gnostic. Explore those and see what you come up with. All right?
All right.
Thank you very much. Yay!
Bashar, I sensed last night or early this morning at a deep inner earth tremor. Instead of traveling linearly across the surface, it seems like you just went thump. And I wonder, did anyone else sense anything today?
What time?
This morning. Okay. Things that go bump in the night.
Things that go bump within you. What went bump within you?
It seemed like somebody was under the bed and went boom.
What went bump within you?
Oh. The first thing that comes out, I heard this saying a limitation, a wall, a partition.
Oh, you suppose it dropped?
Yeah, it woke me up.
You do not do things in a haphazard way.
No.
How do you feel?
Oh, well, I haven't had anything this lifetime that would compare to it. I'm at my peak.
You are at your peak?
Yeah.
Well, how does it feel?
Clear. Getting clear.
All right. Allow more and more and more of those limitations to drop away. You are making connections and you are simply sensitive to them, to the energy. You are translating those energy connections in a physiological way, which appear to be the ideas of the bump. But also understand that many times some of those bumps are also when you are just about to leave your body and then make an instantaneous reconnection.
When you say leave the body, in what terms? You mean
what you call astral projection.
Oh, I see. Very good. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I have had dreams all my life that have come true, and it bothers me.
Why?
Because I don't know where I am in reality. I don't know.
You don't know where you are in reality.
Yeah, I see these things happen to me, and today I was in my office, and I set my glasses down, and I looked, and I saw, and I went, oh, great, I've been here before, and I've seen you, and down the hall, she's going to do that.
Yes.
And that's all been there.
Yes.
And I know that I am a healer.
Yes.
I know that has been my destiny, and it's what I'm doing now, but I want desperately to get in touch with real healing, because I don't believe what I am doing is healing.
Why not?
Because inside it doesn't feel like it's healing, but it is what I do.
What do you do?
Mostly, I mostly use the practices that I learned in medical school.
Such as?
Prescribing medications.
All right.
Using things.
In what way do you now wish to be a healer?
I just want to put my hand on their hand and go, you are healed.
Go for it. Now, allow us to examine some definitions, may we? Yes, no, maybe. May we? Examine some definitions, yes, no, maybe.
Yes.
Thank you. Do you recognize as a healer that all individuals that you heal actually heal themselves?
Yes.
All right. So you are still functioning as a symbol for them through which they can exercise the belief system within themselves that will allow them to affect the healing.
That's what I tell them.
All right. You are then changing into the type of being you wish to be. Now, if you feel frustrated with yourself, then perhaps it is simply that you do not have the trust and the faith necessary to believe that you can be just as effective, or in your terms, maybe more so, in the way you wish to express yourself as a healer, as opposed to the way you have expressed yourself as a healer. Do not discount the way you have expressed yourself, for it has gotten you to where you are now, and it has performed the service, and has allowed many individuals to create a healing aspect for themselves. You follow me?
Yes.
So first and foremost, the first step in being anything you choose to be is to not invalidate anything you have ever been. All right.
I believe I've been a healer all along.
Of course you have. Of course you have.
And I'm going to be a better one.
You are going to be a different one. You will never be better, for each and every thing that you do has its own reasons for existing and has no business being compared to anything else. You follow me? You are going to be a different healer. You may be more expanded. You may function on a more synchronistic and, let us say, grander, broader level. But that is not better. We understand what you mean, colloquially. But recognize we are again examining and exploring definitions, because many of these definitions, in and of themselves, may be all that is preventing you from actually acting as the being you choose to be. Because you think you have to become something better than you were. Many times that is a task that many of you feel unequal to. Because you are creating it to be something unequalizing. To become better. Well, let's see. Becoming better. Oh my, oh my. There must be a lot of work in becoming better. Well, there is. There's a lot of work in becoming better because you can't ever become better. So you will struggle with that for quite some time.
I already am. I wouldn't have these dreams. I wouldn't know what I know. It really spins my head around.
All right. Recognize that much of what you are experiencing can, not so much that it will quote-unquote go away, but will feel more harmonious to you as soon as you catch up to it by doing what it is you want to do. You see, many of the ideas you are experiencing in appearing to be quote-unquote one step ahead of yourself all the time, knowing the future this way, is simply an example that you are just slightly out of phase with yourself and not allowing yourself to live in that present moment spontaneously because you are not yet willing to exercise the faith to do what it is that truly moves you. As soon as you do that, you will catch up to this wave front you have created in time for yourself, and you will spontaneously interact in the moment, and in this way not feel always to be, in a sense, 2 steps behind what has already happened.
But I'm trapped.
You chose to be here. Do not play victim with me. I will not let you get away with it. Now, first and foremost, once again, to allow yourself the cognition, to allow yourself to not feel trapped, you must first take responsibility for having chosen to create the reality you are in.
I did.
Yes, you did, and you still do. Now, recognize that the ideas you are now living, the ideas you are now being, you are choosing them fully, full responsibility fully. Therefore, instead of taking the approach, I am doing what I do because I have no choice, begin by choosing to recognize that you do what you do because you chose to, whether it is negative or positive. The first step in giving you the ability to choose more of the lifestyle you actually desire is in acknowledging that the lifestyle you now have that you don't desire was also your choice. Then, making that connection puts you squarely in the driver's seat. Because if now you know you were fully in control of choosing something that you no longer prefer, it means you have the same degree of control in choosing something you do prefer. And physical reality never has been, is not now, and never will be an excuse for not doing what you desire to do. It is not something that prevents you from doing anything. Only the definitions you give to it prevent you from doing something. Physical reality is not a trap, it is not a jail. If it is a jail, you hold the key. So let yourself out. Let yourself in. Let yourself enjoy the choices that you made. You chose to be physical for a reason. Remember that. And remember that you would not have chosen physical reality just to torture yourself.
No, I'm here to do something.
You are here to enjoy. You are here to share. You are here to be of service. And being of service is never a drudgery.
Dogma of
All right.
medicine and being a doctor and surgery is to me garbage.
Yes. Once again, do not invalidate it. Otherwise, you place yourself squarely back in that world.
Right.
When you hear the phrase in your Bible, judge not, lest ye be judged, it does not mean you are being judged from outside. There is no outside. It does not mean that God is judging you. It means that as you judge, you are placing judgment upon yourself. Whatever you hate, you become. Therefore, recognize that the way you were and the things you did for the reason of getting you to where you are now. So love what you did. It was not garbage when you did it. It isn't garbage now. It's exactly the path you needed to take to understand the difference you are becoming. Otherwise, you would not have the same appreciation of what it is you want to do if you did not do the thing before that you had done. There would be no sense of growth, no sense of change, no sense of expansion if you had not done before what you had done. And now allow yourself to change into what you know you prefer to do. Recognize there are many reasons for the way you chose to do what you did. One strong one among them is the recognition that as you have now associated yourself with what you call the orthodox medical world, then the changes that now occur within you may rub off on some of the others, and allow them to also choose to change without fear. That will be of service, will it not?
Yes, I know it already has.
All right, then relax. Do not be so hard with yourself. You are not trapped. You never have been. You are doing exactly what you need to be doing. And the only little thing you are missing, so to speak, although you are not really missing anything, is that degree of willingness to trust and believe that what you now feel to be true for you is true for you, and if you are willing to exercise your abilities along those lines, you will be supported by the universe because you are being true to yourself as an aspect of the universe.
I already do.
Yes.
I don't care.
You do care.
I don't care. I put my hands on their head and I said, you are healed. You have the power within you. And
Yes.
I don't care if anyone judges me.
All right.
I'm trying.
You are not trying, you are doing.
Okay, I'm breaking them.
Thank you for your willingness. May I remind you, every individual makes a difference. And the more willing you are to be a true reflection of the you know yourself to be, the easier it is for other individuals to do the same for themselves. Because they see within you an example of your trust and your faith. And to see it within you, to see it within any being, means that they also have to contain that ability. Otherwise they couldn't see it. Thank you for your love.
Bashar?
Thanks. I love you.
Pleasant dreams to you as well. Yes, my friend.
I have had a lower back pain for the last 4 months, and I know it has some connection to do with I have been blocked in any creative visualization because of a fear.
A fear of what?
A fear of that, of creating that which I do or would decide to desire.
Why would you fear to create what you desire?
Because everything I have wanted, I have created, and
Of course.
And sometimes it's backfired on me, so I'm afraid.
No, never. It has never backfired. How can it backfire by definition when you create everything you want? If you create everything you want, then how can what you get be something that backfires?
It didn't turn out the way I thought it was going to.
So what? What has that got to do with anything? Recognize that in our world a long time ago, when we began to go through these changes ourselves, to say to someone, well, it didn't turn out the way I thought, was reason for congratulations. Because then it meant you were trusting your intuition and acting spontaneously and creating the unexpected so that your life would become ecstatic rather than creating a boring, predictable life through the idea of analytical consciousness. Now, as you have said, you have always created everything you have wanted. Recognize that those situations that you are referring to as the backfire situations was exactly at that time what you wanted based on what you believed you could create. And thus it was a sparkling opportunity to recognize what you believed in by seeing it in full force in your reality, thus giving you the opportunity to recognize that if you do not prefer that manifestation, if you do not prefer that belief, that the manifestation in your life shows you have the belief, and now that means, now that you can see it, you can change it into what you do prefer. The idea of seeing something like that in your life is not a sentence pronounced upon you. It is an opportunity to recognize that you have had that belief within you, and now it shows you what you have had, and now you can change it if you don't prefer it.
How do I get rid of the fear?
You do not get rid of anything. There is nowhere to get rid of anything to. What you do is make friends with it. Let it in. You see, the only reason you have fear, basically, fundamentally, fear is a messenger. It is bringing you a message. It is bringing you another portion of your identity, another portion of you to examine and integrate within you so that you can expand as a being. The only reason it comes in a fearful way is because you don't pay attention to the way it comes when it comes subtly. So when you ignore that idea, because you have been taught to ignore the subtle ideas, it gets noisier and noisier and noisier and noisier until you begin to pay attention. By the time you begin to pay attention, it is so noisy you want to run away from it. That is your fear. It's simply not as loudly as it needs to get you to pay attention to the portion of yourself that you have ordered it to bring to you. It does not have to come fearfully. And as soon as you say, all right, I know you're there, I hear, I'm coming. As soon as you say, all right, I recognize you have been very noisy simply because I have not been paying attention. Now I'm letting you know that I am paying attention and I am willing to pay attention to whatever it is you have to bring me, because I know that whatever it is you bring to me is something I do want to see. Oh, says the fear. Well, then the next time I won't have to be so scary to get you to pay attention. I'll come a little more quietly. And if you are willing to pay attention to that, I'll come quieter still. And again, and again, and again. Until You are overjoyed when I knock upon your door. You cannot wait for me to show up. You're so ecstatic. Because you know that the only things I can possibly bring to you is more of yourself, and that those portions of yourself are the things that will allow you to integrate as a being. They will allow you in that way to know what it is you chose to be in this physiological life. You follow along.
Totally.
Does this assist you?
Yes. What do I do about my back pain?
This is all connected.
I know.
The idea is that when you are willing to relax a little bit about the things you are discovering about yourself, then you will not hold yourself so rigidly. You will not be so tense in that area. It is primarily in that area because it represents the fact that you are now making, let us say, in this particular go-around, in this particular stage of your development, you are making final connections. The connections begin at the base of the brain and work their way downward. When you are about to make some final connections, then many times if you are allowing yourself to judge and invalidate the connections you are making, then any tension and pain that you create will generally spring up somewhere in the lower back. In this way, once you relax this idea, you will begin to recognize that the final connection will be made from the positive pole to the negative pole, and thus a flash of revelation will shoot up your spine. You refer to this in your society as the Kundalini energy. Once it hits the base of your brain, it will filter into your brain, altering the neuronic pathways of your brain, cranial structure, and this sense of the cellular structure in ways at a rate that is comfortable for you to realign the idea that you are and create a completely new perspective and a new reality. You follow me?
Yes.
The pain and the tension is only from the remnants of habitual ritual that you have bought into in your life. Relax, and you will allow the energy to pass through painlessly, effortlessly. There is nothing you will ever discover about yourself that cannot be used in a positive way and integrated within the total being that you are. Do not fear. You will always be able to handle it. Always. There would be no purpose in you creating something you could not handle. There would be no purpose in the universe giving you something you could not handle. The universe does not do pointless and extraneous things. You follow me?
Yes.
Does this assist you?
Yes, very much. Thank you.
Thank you, my friend. Bashar. You! You! Male.
Do all life forms possess higher selves?
Yes. Some life forms are higher selves.
And some of them possess it.
Some of them create the scenario that they are separated from it. But of course that means that they were created from the higher self and therefore always have a connection back to the higher self. Yes.
I'd like to know some information about the physical universe and the earth.
All right. Shoot.
Was earth created? Was earth created to support the life system, or did it come from earth?
Both. This is a simultaneous idea. Any idea that acts as a support system for any level of consciousness is both created by the consciousness and comes from the consciousness and is created for that consciousness. Everything attracts itself to the vibratory level in which it can exist by definition. These events occur in a sense simultaneously. The creation for and the creation from occur simultaneously.
Right. Thank you.
Bashar?
Are you through?
For now.
All right. Guys.
First of all, what life forms are higher self? Thank you.
Simply the idea that when you are non-physical and existing as your oversoul, then you are your higher self.
Oh, I thought physical life forms that are higher self. I thought that's what you said.
Not exactly, no. The idea of the non-physical you, it is still a life form.
That's true. Okay, the other thing that it just occurred to me a while ago when you were talking about pain and so on.
Yes, pain and so on, yes.
Well, I was at a workshop this weekend with Azari.
Hey!
And he mentioned something which I thought was very important for all of us. Well, maybe some people are aware of it, but I wasn't, not totally. And that has to do with something he detected, what he called a metaphysical blackmail in that now most of us are recognizing that we're creating our own reality.
Yes.
And when we become sick, we start feeling guilty about it.
Yes.
And also, not only that, but that when our friends become sick, we say, oh, you created your own reality, get over it. And we lack compassion. And so I just wanted to point out that, to become aware of that we should not feel guilty about it, and a lot of times pain and failure is also just like fear a messenger.
Yay. Okay.
That's all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bashar?
You.
I was going down Bronson Street the other night, last week. I forget what night. Anyway, I think I saw a spacecraft. Okay with me if I didn't. Union Jam. Really, the reason I think it was
Yay.
is that it had. Okay, I think I saw a green light, but I did see a blue one and a red one. And it was going horizontally across a clear sky, and it was like a triangle, but it was like in an angle, so it kind of looked triangular. And it was going horizontally, but then it wasn't there anymore, you see. All right. No, it didn't go into the clouds. Sorry, no clouds.
Simply the angle obscured the idea of the vision of your life, and it appeared to disappear.
Okay.
It was one of your own crafts.
All right, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much. However, do remember that your sensitivity towards being attracted to the energy of that idea still works towards opening doorways and creating connections.
Okay, I've just done some wonderful connections this week from those kinds of connections you were talking about that are going to be happening. They're happening.
Thank you very
Wonderful.
much.
Wonderful. Thank you.
You!
What is necessary for me to have a satisfactory relationship with a woman who doesn't
I see. First of all, you can recognize that no relationship once created ever ends. Ever. It may change its definition. It may change the parameters going on within the relationship. Even if you never physiologically see each other ever again, then that is the definition of the relationship. Now, therefore, first of all, recognize that in your belief system may be embedded the idea that these things must come to an end. You resent this idea, you fight against it, and create much of the reasons for why it appears to end painfully by attracting circumstances that allow themselves to play out your fears and your beliefs. Nothing ends ever, first of all. You follow me?
Yes.
All right. Now, are you allowing the relationships that you attract in your life to be there for the reasons they are there, or to be there for what you think they should be there for?
Well, I think they should be there.
Why?
Because that's what I think I want.
I see. Why not let them be there for why they are actually there?
Well, because that seems to be differing from what I think I want.
How can it be? What you want is what you get in life. You see, again, the paradox. The idea is as soon as you are willing to face up to the idea that you attracted this situation because it was, at that moment you created it, what you wanted, then you give yourself the opportunity to recognize, all right, this is what I did want. It is not what I prefer from this point forward. The idea of, in your terms, owning up to the creation of it to begin with, however, as a recognition that at that moment it was what you wanted, will allow you the ability to let it, not make it, not force it, let it, allow it to transform into something more representative of what you now prefer. You follow it?
Yes. I intellectually understand the idea that I made it, but I don't really experience, I'm not very connected with the experience of making unpleasant things happen.
If you say so. Now, can you not realize that even when you create and attract the idea you call an unpleasant circumstance to yourself, that you still learn from it?
Oh, yes.
Then why not begin to see the entire event as a positive experience? Oh, look what I have learned now. My, how creative I am. You follow me?
I seem to be learning the same thing over and over again.
That is only an illusion. It is only because you keep placing the same definition in the symbols you see. All right. Here is the mechanism of it. One more time. And of course, this one more time is in no way, shape, or form the same time again, nor the same thing. It is always new. We use that term loosely one more time. Allow us to remind you, not tell you something new, but remind you, whatever level this already exists upon in knowledge in your consciousness, to remind you. Oh, will you do me a favor? Sure. Oh, thank you. Repeat after me. No.
No.
Situation. Has built. In meaning. All. Situations are fundamentally neutral. The meaning I give to a neutral situation completely determines the effect I experience, whether it is positive or negative. Now, do you understand that idea? All situations are fundamentally neutral. No symbols symbolize anything intrinsically. No symbol, no situation has built-in meanings. You supply the meaning to an empty symbolic shell. When you fill the shell with your meaning, that is the effect you experience. So to say, well, I keep experiencing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, is only because if you know you have changed, if you know you have made a decision that you prefer something else, then all you need to do is truly act like you believe you have changed, and act like you believe that your physical reality must reflect that. Now, recognize that you still do live in a world of time, and therefore some changes may still take a little time, but the idea is that the change on the template level has occurred instantaneously the second you decide to make a change. The physiological symbols that represent it may be a little slow in changing, but your opportunity and the way to allow them to change most quickly is the following way. When you know you have changed, if you trust that that is a fact for you, that is true for you, then when you see a symbol that you may say is the same symbol as before, do not give it the same meaning if you are not the same person. Give it a new meaning. This symbol no longer means what it used to. What does it now mean now that you are a new person, now that you are a changed person? How would the person you now know yourself to be regard this symbol? Don't keep regarding the symbols in the way you used to if you don't want them to have the same old effect. Give them new meanings. Give them new definitions. Know beyond a shadow of a doubt that whether it looks the same or not, it can't mean the same thing because you are not the same person. Then, in the quickest possible way, will you allow those symbols to change their shape and to transform into something more physically representative of the new meaning you have given it. You follow? Yes. This is the mechanics, this is the physics of the entire idea. It is, if you are willing to understand it, that simple. You follow me?
Yes.
Now, are you willing to allow it to be that simple?
Yes.
The idea is only that it is necessary to act like. To act like you believe that when you make a change, you have in fact changed. You are in fact different. And therefore everything in your reality has to be representative of the difference you now know yourself to be. And cannot be, by definition, the same old thing. It must be new. It must be. Therefore, when you come with that attitude, that new understanding, you will then begin to allow yourself to see how the symbols in your life will transform, will change, to fit the new image, the new understanding, the new idea you now know yourself to be. Do you follow me? Yes. It does not take very much time. When you let it take the least amount of time that it can. In many cases you will find that as little as 3 of your days is all that is necessary to allow any situation to completely change in a way more in line with what you now trust yourself to be. You follow me?
Yes.
Has this assisted you?
Yes.
We thank you very much.
Bashar.
You!
Bashar, you've made 2 statements tonight.
I have made more than that.
That interested me.
Oh, all right.
Thank you.
2 statements in your reality. All right. Thank you very much.
One that struck me was that the universe is not 2 pointless things.
Yes.
Number 2, all situations are
Fundamentally
neutral.
Yes.
Would you comment on the coincidence of these 2 and how they interact, these 2 realities?
Thank you very much. The universe in your terms is holographic. Do you understand that term?
I do.
The idea is that at any particular place in the universe exists the potential of the total universe. Do you follow me?
I do.
In this way, therefore, recognize everything is interconnected in a very, very well orchestrated matrix, and in such a manner that meaning can be given to any one of these particular points, and the meaning given to that point will give the life to that particular point, will define what it is that can exist in that particular holographic point, will define what phase of the interconnectedness is perceived in that holographic point. So everything by definition must be fundamentally neutral in order for every point to contain the ability to manifest any one portion of the entire universe in it. You follow me?
I do. It means that the potential, the infinite potential of each point
Yes.
is the purpose of the universe.
Yes. And to realize what represents your understanding of yourself is your purpose. To realize the potential in any given point, which is you. You follow me?
I do. Thank you.
Does that assist you?
Indeed it does.
Thank you very much. Indeed, will you manifest your reality. You!
I just learning about integrating the left brain and the right brain.
Yes.
And right now I was noticing that I was listening with my left ear, which is the music ear. So if I'm listening with my left ear, which is music and bass, then I cannot register the words and the information that I should be receiving on my right ear.
You can receive it in whatever way you need to.
But I have, from my experience, I have registered in my brain the information, or I cannot recall all the information that I receive in my brain or integrate.
Again, the idea to some degree is to first of all recognize that you do in fact register everything. Whether you can recall it or not is another matter. But you do in fact register everything on every level. Every level. It is there intuitively, it is there intellectually, it is there musically, it is there mathematically, it is there linguistically, it is there sensorially, it is there visually, audibly, it is there in every single level. Now, as we were just speaking of the holographic universe, what you can recall will simply depend upon where your reference beam is focused. So to first of all know that everything is in fact there will give you the opportunity to simply go into whatever imaginary state you need to tune in to where it is that that reference has been stored and be able to, in your terms, retrieve it. Rely once again upon the very finely focused beam, the needle of your imagination. It will always land squarely in the area you need to have it land in order to recall and live in the moment and be with whatever idea it is you need to be.
Okay, but also the information that is received in the left brain and the information that is received in the right brain, and if they don't integrate together, then you don't see the whole picture and the information.
We understand what you are saying, but also recognize that if you are going to use what may be called third density terminology and continue to define the idea that there is a separation between the left and the right brain instead of thinking of your brain as the homogeneous idea that it is, then you will continually create a scenario in which you will always feel that something is going into one side and not the other, when in fact it is always going into both.
Okay, but if I'm going to school right now and learning this information, and if I want to help other people,
yes,
then I have to understand how it functions in all the tools that it represents. So
yes, to some degree, but recognize that you are determining what the tools are you will be using. You are determining what you think you need to learn. You can always change the definition of what it is you think you need to learn, and then that will be the definition of how you assist other people with what you learn in that way.
But I don't feel that I do know. So that's what I'm going to other people that have done research and have learned. So they are giving me this information.
Yes.
So then I can sit down and say, oh, you don't have to tell me anything. I know it all.
You know what you need to know.
Yes,
this does not mean you cannot be assisted.
But that's what I mean. So I'm asking a little more information on this. That I feel what I have learned and how I see it right now.
Yes.
And what I have learned, and I'm just discussing with you to see if it coordinates.
And does it?
No, you went all in my head. Right there.
In this way, as we are saying, we're simply discussing two different points of view, two different complete realities.
Yeah, so I need my reality, my point of view to be valid, and for me to be able to function.
It is valid. All right. In this way, therefore, let us say, reflecting back to you your own tool, the tool you have chosen to use. In this way, what you can get in touch with the idea of what you call the limbic system of the brain, the corpus callosum, and what you call the hippocampus. Allowing yourself, in your imagination, to allow the energy in your brain to be equally balanced in these areas will possibly allow you an opportunity to feel the ability to switch hemispheres at will and allow yourself to avail yourself of whatever percentage of either you feel you need to be in touch with at any given moment to do the things you wish to do. Does this assist you?
How do I do that?
In your imagination. Understand something. Now pay attention to this, for this can assist you very strongly. You are familiar with what you call the neuronic pathways in your brain, yes?
Yes.
Remember this. Every single thought, Bashar? Yes. Every single thought. Oh, there must be some exceptions, Bashar. No exceptions. Every single thought that you have physically, yes, physically, changes the neural pathways in your brain into the configuration that now physically supports the new thought.
Wow. Okay, yeah.
Therefore, using your imagination and thinking whatever thoughts you wish to will automatically arrange your brain in whatever configuration it needs to be in to give you the ability and the tool you are requesting of me.
So then I have to be in the relaxed mind.
Yes. Tension will only cause more separation and an inability to perceive the communication that is always going on between what you call the left and the right hemisphere.
Are you familiar with your cross pole? Is that valid?
Are you referring to systems that synchronize the left and right hemisphere?
Yes.
It is always valid. Everything is valid. All tools are valid. If you feel strength in the representation of that tool, by all means for you, it is valid because it represents your reality because you have attracted yourself to that idea. If you are excited about it, if you are not excited about it, then it is not valid for you. It is not a part of your reality. But if you are excited about it, it is very much valid for you and is completely in line with what it is that is the next thing you have to learn to be of service.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Bashar.
You!
Would you talk first about the sixth dimension?
The sixth dimension. How about if we leave that up to someone who comes from there?
Oh, well, I was okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. May I ask another question?
Of course.
I heard over the weekend that the Egyptians used sound as a means of constructing the pyramids. Is that true?
Some of the ancient ones, yes. Not all of them, not the later ones, and also what you would call some East Indians and also what you would call Tibetans. Utilized much of the same idea. Much of the same idea was utilized in Atlantis as well, which is where basically the Egyptians got their idea of it.
Uh-huh. While we're talking about the Tibetans, could you explain how gong works in healing?
The idea is that each and everything in physical reality is the product of a particular frequency vibration of the primal fundamental energy of all that is. You follow me?
Yes.
The idea of a tone can contain within it a formula, an equation that represents a fundamental alignment with that fundamental vibration, a synchronous alignment. In experiencing a certain frequency or tone, it then washes over you, washes through you, and allows, if you are willing, allows the entire idea of the energy structure that you are, and therefore the physical structure that you are, to realign with what that tone represents, a fundamental alignment with all that is. So you, in a sense, rebalance yourself, recenter yourself. You follow me?
Yes, I do.
Does that assist you?
Yes, it does. Bashar?
You!
Thank you. Okay, let's see, real quick. A long time ago, when
long time.
Well, okay, that's too much ago. I went to a meeting with you, and you had asked me how I felt at one particular moment. There was a situation where I said that I got in touch back with my 4-year-old. And you'd asked me how I felt, and I was saying I felt scared, but really what I felt when you asked me how I was feeling, and you emphasized that word, was that the umbilical cord or my belly button was pulsing a lot. And felt very strong pulse. What is that?
The idea is close to what you call the chakra of intention in this way within the solar plexus connection, but it is also an opening of a gate and an extension to many ideas of your future self, many ideas of your past self. It is the forming of an energy umbilical to many ideas that you may be now gathering into the present to allow yourself to become.
Okay. I have 2 other questions.
Number 1.
Yes, okay. When you talk about that, okay, we can choose how we want our reality to be.
Yay!
And that we can have control in that sense. What's the difference between that kind of control and then the kind of control that I've been learning to relinquish or give up of trying to have things go a very certain way?
Oh, thank you very much. In this way, recognize that what you typically refer to in your society as surrendering is actually taking control. Control means letting yourself flow with and in synchronous harmony with the idea of the universal self, the universal infinite. Choosing to flow synchronously with that idea is taking control, is knowing you are in control. As we have said, there are 2 types of free will. The free will of the physiological consciousness, the free will of the higher consciousness. All that you call the free will of the higher consciousness many times is relegated by the physical consciousness into the terminology you call fate or predestination. But this only occurs in the most generalized of terms. The actual specifics of how the events, the generalized events that are determined by the non-physical higher consciousness unfold, how they unfold, specifically is determined by the physiological personality, the physiological desires, the physiological thoughts, the physiological beliefs that you create in your physiological life. Thus, in this way, the taking control, once again, is the expression of your desire, the expression of your willingness, the expression of your conviction of what you know to be true for you. It is taking that stand of conviction. And taking the stand of conviction in that way places you squarely in the flow of the universal energy that you are in touch with, and thus makes it seem as if once you have taken control, you don't have to do much steering. Does this help you?
Can you say that last sentence one more time?
When you take control, then the paradox is that it becomes apparent that you actually don't feel like you have to do the steering. This is the paradox of physical reality. When you know you are creating your reality and are fully in control of it because everything you experience is what you created, then you open up to the idea. Vulnerability is infinite strength and not weakness. And if you are willing to be completely open, which is what vulnerability is, then you know you are completely connected to all that is. Being completely connected to all that is means you are always, totally, completely reinforced. You have infinite strength, and therefore you simply flow along the universal lines of momentum. You are completely in control by flowing along the lines of least resistance. Thus it does not feel like you have to steer. The only time it feels like you have to do the steering is when you fight your own ecstasy. Giving in to your own ecstasy, surrendering, quote unquote, to the universal flow of things allows you to know that you are squarely in control, because then it is effortless to create the reality you prefer, because you are drawing everything in parallel lines and not going against the flow.
Going on lately. One is I'm starting to feel very fluid, and feel the joy and feel that movement towards it. Then there's another part of me that's scared and excited at the same time.
Nope.
And a real...
One moment.
Okay. And a real...
One moment.
By the way.
Understand. You are either excited or you are anxious. You cannot be both at the same time, because they are both from the same energy. Excitement is the positive viewpoint of the energy. Anxiety is the negative viewpoint of the same energy. You cannot be excited and anxious at the same time. If you are excited, you are expressing a positive faith in that energy, in the flow. If you are anxious, you are fighting your own ecstasy.
I do it very quickly.
Yes, that is what appears to create the illusion that it happens at the same time. But it is not. You are two completely different individuals. Choose the one you prefer and act like that. So you can maintain either the excitement or the anxiety, or you can continue to be the overall idea of the two different individuals, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It is up to you. But you are still always progressing at your own rate, whatever rate is comfortable for you. The more you are willing to enjoy the flip-flop idea, then the less anxious you will be about it, and the more you will tip the scale in the direction of the excitement rather than the anxiety.
Oh, good.
You follow me?
Yeah. Well, that's a good idea.
Any willingness at all to integrate, automatically, by definition, tips the scale toward the positive side of the momentum. You follow me?
Yeah, I do. Because I get to be, sometimes I love being a tight ass, though. It's just a strange feeling.
All right.
Very, very just like persnickety and indulgent in that.
All right. And you obviously are getting something out of it. Learn from it what you will, and then when you prefer to be something else, be it.
Okay. Also, you were in a dream the other night.
In a few.
Yes, that's
in a few of individuals as well.
I saw you on Tuesday night or Wednesday night, and I spoke and I said I was coming here to see you this time. I hadn't been around for a while. You said, "Oh, good, glad to see you. Nice to see you again."
As we have said, this night of your time is called Night of Dreams. And in this way, there are many gates and many doors of opening that are taking place. And you are also recognizing, as you may perceive symbolically, our energy, that what you are communicating within your dream realities is also your own higher selves, as you use us to symbolize that very often. Once again, the idea of openness, willingness, unconditional love, and vulnerability is infinite strength, which will allow you to be in touch with the idea of what you have called the heavens, and bring them into your heart, and fill yourselves with ecstatic knowingness. With this firmly in mind, firmly in heart, and firmly in spirit, may all, with the accompaniment of my little friend, take a drink.
Insert tape 2 now.
Okay, sharing. Then you.
Bashar, the little sculpture that you did in the first part, is that a personality from your...
It is a blending of many things, and it is an essential symbol of the idea that you are now transforming through. The idea of the transformation itself, many different ideas that have formerly been cloaked in your secrecy, now coming to the forefront in many of the different doorways, aspects, and actions that you are taking in your life. There are many representational openings upon the figurine, as you would call it. There is one at the crown chakra, one in between the shoulder blades in this way, that represents the idea of the connection to the higher self and the conviction and commitment to allow that to channel through you through what you would call the chakra of channeling in between the shoulder blades and the base of the neck. In this way, it also represents the idea of your own future selves, which in many ways we also symbolize energetically. And in this sense, therefore, there is a blending in that sense. It also represents a degree of the idea of serious energy. It also represents a degree of ideas of all the different kinds of loving connections and the things that you are nurturing within yourselves at this time and bringing forth a new birth within yourself. Therefore, there is the idea you call not only the Sirius connection, but also the Pleiadian connection, also the Arcturus connection in this way. It is an overall symbol that represents many essences and many ideas that you are now cloaking yourself within, redefining the idea of the garment that you wear, and allowing yourself more and more expression of the ethereal in physical terms, and it is also simply in this way an expression of the unconditional loving bond that the universe has for you.
Wonderful. And the little trailing out behind of the robe, does that have a significant meaning?
In this way, it is the gathering up of all that you consider to be your past self, now collecting into the idea of that which you cloak yourselves within. It is in this way merging and blending and leaves, as you travel, as you move in your momentum, awake, that allows you to know where you have always been, but brings it up into the moment, into the present, as something that you are availing yourself of in the present.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Bashar.
It feels like the dream of the heart, Bashar. Is that another cloaking device or an idea?
Repeat.
There seems to be some kind of, well, you put a piece of clay draped over the heart.
And in this way, the idea again of the unconditional loving expression, but in this way also the idea of that which you are nurturing, the new idea of yourselves you are giving birth to as your future selves. It is also pointing into the chakra of intention, your solar plexus.
Bashar, I would like you to help me to understand fully a lot of images and dream and some separate things that I know are connected. I just feel that you could really, I feel it's important. It feels like it's all really important. And it has to do with the energy of this person who's dying of AIDS that we talked about Monday. it also has to do with a dream in which a character came up to me, an older man who seemed like a cowboy who introduced himself, said he was not aware that he apologized for not being aware that I was a woman and an American all this time, and something about it was just all the envelopes. Okay, but anyway, this dream character that seemed to be a very controlling character.
This is an aspect of the consciousness of the same individual.
Oh, okay. All right. And then this morning, as I was waking from a dream, I had one of those fast motion videotape things that sometimes happen to me where I suddenly just get these visual images on top of each other, and it was two people, but it seemed like both of their entire lives, but it was going so fast I could only see them, and one was the red-headed woman, and the other was another cowboy.
All right. Now, we will give you basic fundamentals. The specifics are up to you.
Okay.
The understanding is that there is a very strong connection here in what you call past life terms with certain incidents and interactions and relationships that went on that are now what are being used to create the determining factors of the situations and the relationships now going on in the present life. The idea of the callousness then, the sensitivity now, the lack of blending of the male-female then, the blending now, but there is still the idea of what is considered to be karmic retribution involved in the idea or the consciousness of that individual and the relationships with you in this way. This is being played out and may play to the idea of the term of the physiological passage, but does not necessarily have to. But in this way, the soul will have learned and have felt and have believed that a balance has been performed. And this individual in this way may then allow himself to be involved in the idea in every incarnational way with the transformation from this point forward.
Okay, can you give me any more information on the karmic retribution? Because I feel that too, but I have no sense of really what it is.
You have already described it and defined it in very clear and concise terms. The idea of attitudes of callousness towards the idea of the femininity contained within. You follow me?
Yes.
We will leave the rest up to you.
Okay. One time, was I the red-haired woman?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You.
Yes. There are a few of us here involved in the mountaintop plan for the future.
Yes.
Okay, you mentioned in the past something about a magnetic resonance field.
Yes.
Could you tell me what that means and how we use it?
Oh, thank you. What it simply means is that in your world, because it is an electromagnetic phenomenon, there are many points that pulse with a certain beat, a certain frequency that represent the interchange and exchange of different energy levels throughout the entire world as it balances itself as a unit. That is simply one of those points that has a high degree of magnetic resonance frequencies, and it allows you to align when you are in that frequency cellularly, electromagnetically align with many more portions of yourself so that all is moving in one linear momentum direction. It gives impetus and momentum in that way.
Okay. Is there something that's been put into the area, or is it native to the area?
It is native to the area.
Oh. We sort of picked up that there was something placed there by the people from the spaceship many years ago.
This is something that exists as an energy idea, but is not in your terms, in your dimension, physiological.
Okay.
You may be perceiving across the dimensionalities, and in this way there is, in that sense, something attached to every single point upon your planet that exhibits that kind of phenomenon.
Oh. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bashar, I've been working with this idea of integrating the chakras and various grounding techniques.
I see. Are you having a good time?
Yeah. Specifically, during the point of orgasm, instead of concentrating on physical bodies and stuff, actually concentrating on something totally dissociated, like cash. It's much harder to produce the feeling, but I was using it as a technique for grounding and generating the feeling, the intense feeling necessary. And I noticed after I did that, it created a major shift.
Right.
A major shift. It was like it grounded it. It was
right. Took it from the causal into the physical plane.
Yeah, and it's like, Lazar talks about going through several chakras, but it like took it all the way down. And And, you know, today some bizarre guy needed this machine for me.
Bizarre?
Yeah, it was bizarre. And he needed this machine for me, and I just sitting around, and he said, you know, we talked about $5,000 for this thing, and I said, oh, God, where am I going to throw this thing away? And it was, that was like an immediate reaction. And I wanted to know, you know, the chakra integration there, taking it all the way down to that, the kundalini or whatever the heck it is there. Kundalini, I don't know. Is that more effective? In other words, taking all the way down to the, is that the first chakra or whatever?
Allowing yourself to interconnect all levels and, in your terms, drive that energy deep within the earth will plug you into a source of your own infinite electromagnetic power. And allow you to function as a completely, totally supported extension of the earth.
Yeah. Then the total refocus of that energy too. Because normally it's sex, it means pictures of beautiful bodies and stuff, and now it's a totally different.
The energy can be utilized in many different
powerful
ways.
energy, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it's it lasts about 30 seconds or 33 seconds.
33 seconds.
Took 3 hours to build up to it, but it lasted about.
That is the threshold.
Yeah.
33 seconds.
Thank you.
Bashar.
Thank you, Bashar. I wanted to tell you that in the past couple of weeks since I heard you the first time, in the first week I had a dream that there was a man who was building topographical models, and he was dismantling one, and I asked him why he was doing that, and he said he wanted to build a topographical model of the Bay of Bengal, and I said, what do you do there? And he said, I swim with the dolphins. And I asked him if I could do that too, and he said, look over there. And I looked over there, and there was a dolphin at the edge of the shore, and I went with the dolphin under the water very fast. Wait a minute. And I was completely unafraid and very, very excited. And anyway, that was a couple of days after hearing you speak the first time. So I wanted to tell you that.
Thank you. How synchronous. You may discuss it also with someone else who will be here this evening of your card.
Oh, good. All right, thank you. The other thing I wanted to tell you is that since I've heard you last first, I saw a show on Channel 28 called The Creation of the Universe, and it's research that's been going on with physicists and scientists since Einstein's death on the unified field theory.
Right.
And scientists generally concur right now that they assume there is a Big Bang, and that they know how up to a couple of hundreds of billions of seconds right after the moment of creation or the Big Bang, how the universe reacted, electromagnetically and okay. Anyway, this one scientist from Cambridge proposed that maybe the beginning of creation is like, is there an edge to the Earth? No, it just keeps going round and round. So my question to you is, are these scientists going to push until they find the beginning of creation, or is the Big Bang thing just a kind of a wishful thinking?
They will find a beginning within the time frame that creates the idea of beginning. Okay. But beyond that, there is existence which has always existed.
That's the feeling I got from the show.
The idea you are referring to as the quote-unquote Big Bang is, in a sense, one of the infinite events within existence.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sure.
You.
Okay.
You!
Since I saw you last in Hawaii, I have started that process called Future Self. And since that time has done a number of individuals. Recently, within the past month or so, did a small group of people at the same time on the theme of peace, which we worked with for about 20 minutes. Basically, this is a sharing, and I welcome any input you have. The vision that I have on it now is to do this with perhaps hundreds or even thousands of people at the same time in a concert context, utilizing that process and utilizing a video screen as feedback, reflective feedback for people to witness their own evolution of their state and verification of it, and using peace as a theme and making that available to each individual that they may retune to that frequency as a tool
when they need it, that they may carry it out.
We thank you. Our input will be to ask you to simply keep us informed as to how much fun you are having. We thank you. Yes, Mayor.
Currently, hello, Bashar, anyway.
Hello.
Currently, myself and other people in this room are working with certain purification techniques that the purpose behind them is to have a greater realization of who we really are.
Hey.
Would you speak on the importance, as you perceive it or see it, of specific purification techniques to allow us within ourselves to experience who we are and to be of greater service in the times that we're now living?
Thank you. In this way, recognize that there are what you call techniques that may allow you to tap into the generalized agreements you have all made and thus put you in touch with the very foundations of the reality you have co-created with each other and allow you, therefore, that much more closer recognition of the pulse, the pace at which you beat. In this way, however, recognize that the idea of any technique which you feel so inclined to be attracted to is therefore representative of the vibrational being you are, and therefore whatever you are attracted to by definition will be the technique that provides you with what you need. Anytime you feel like changing it, then the feeling of changing it itself is indicative of the technique itself, the ongoingness of the overall technique, which will always transform into something else. You follow me?
Yes.
In this way, therefore, the very simplest thing we can say is that any technique you feel is valid for you and you feel puts you more closely in touch with the idea of the all that is that you are, is the technique that is correct for you. And your own imagination and your own life and the synchronicity in your life will always lead you to exactly what you need. And in this way, if you find that you enjoy this, if you are excited about the idea of what you have led yourself to, then by all means recognize that your participation and your involvement and your expression of those techniques will be what gets you to the next step, to allow you to then transform into what will then attract to itself the very next technique necessary, if a technique is then at that point even necessary. The overall idea, however, is that life itself is the only process you actually need. And in this way, in the willingness to simply live, the willingness to be of service in ways that move you, that represent you being the being that you know you are, that is the technique that will always bring to you more and more and more expanded opportunity to feel that much more ecstatic about your connections and your ability to express those connections to all that is. Does this assist you?
It certainly does. One other question, Bashar.
Hey!
You talk much about following one's excitement.
Hey!
What is your thought on, is the purpose of following your excitement to lead you towards more of a middle path to balance the pairs of opposites?
In a sense, yes. It is the effortless way because of the following definition. What you call excitement is your physical translation of the energy that represents the path you chose to be. That is why you can always trust it, no matter what the surface scenario appears like, no matter how different one scenario may be from another scenario, if the same level of excitement is behind it, it is the excitement that is the arrow, that is the barometer to let you know this is a continuation of the same path, no matter how it appears on the surface. Excitement is being in line and in balance with the path you chose to be, and that is why it is effortless to do what excites you. And doing what excites you will always find you completely, in a balanced way, supported by the universe, because you are squarely, consciously on the level of the path you chose to be on by following what excites you. It is the vibration that calls you. It is the vibration that defines the path you chose to be in this life. Does that assist you?
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you very much. Female.
Thank you.
I'd like to share something, and then I'd like to ask a question. I created, I suppose you could say, I bought a car, an old red convertible that was very tempting 2.5 years ago, and gradually I have become more and more and more and more upset with this car, and the more upset I got, the more the car misbehaved, etc., etc. And I decided finally to sell the car, and yesterday, with the same attitude, attaching the same negative significance to that symbol, continuing to create that negativity, went to the DMV, and of course we all know we all have our preconceived ideas as to what the DMV is all about anyway, and had a great deal of difficulty dealing with the DMV, and had also taken it to a body shop and had been given nothing but bad news about how unsafe it was, but of course I introduced the car as being very unsafe, and is it really safe to drive, and oh, it's such a piece of junk, and of course the auto man said it's really a piece of junk and it's going to cost you $500 more to fix it up to sell it. So anyway, as I was driving yesterday afternoon after hearing all of this home, I just happened to have playing in my car the tape from last week, which talks about just what you were talking about earlier tonight, using the same. We're seeing a symbol that one had attached negativity to before, and without really realizing it, perhaps attaching the same old negativity to it. But as I heard you talking about it, I heard you say, if you're truly transformed, you should be able to, I know. You can choose to create a new meaning for that old symbol. And boing, I decided that yes, indeed, I have definitely been having wonderful experiences of transformation. And this thorn that has been in my side for 2.5 years, of course, I created the thorn.
Has actually been a rose. A red convertible rose.
So today, someone else drove the car down to Los Angeles, but today I went and talked with another mechanic with an entirely different viewpoint. And even admired the car when I walked in and looked at it. After 2.5 years of tremendous upset and expense, I admired the car and said, all right, now what would you evaluate the problems to be? And he said, well, there are a number of them here, but really it is no major operation to get this thing back on the road. It's not going to be expensive, it's not going to be lengthy, and it's going to be just beautiful, and it's going to be sold in no time at all. And it is all thanks to you.
No, it is all thanks to you. And if I wore a hat, I'd take it off.
It is really miraculous that within less than 24 hours, probably really in moments, of cogniting the application of that tape to the situation. I mean, this is really.
Now you have a very strong example of the realization that the present is not a result of the past.
Right, exactly.
What you are at any given moment is what you experience in your life, no matter what you have experienced before.
And also, when you said that the symbol was a reflection of me, and I thought, whoa, I want this piece of you-know-what to be a reflection of me. Hey, I'm not, I'm not that negative thing that I was calling it and all that.
You are not a thorn. You are a rose.
Right. Wow, what a transformation. Secondly, the question, I would appreciate some help in sorting something out. I'm making my awake time my conscious reality. I'm creating transformations on just a very exciting, with exciting frequency.
Well, you obviously don't need help with that.
Well, I don't know about that, but I am wondering why, when I awake, well, first, I've been more aware of my dreams recently upon awaking because I've made a conscious effort to be more aware of them. Okay, the thing that I don't understand is that even though I'm gaining more control and a sense of preference over my awake times.
Yes.
I have a lot of nightmares, and I've had a lot of nightmares for a long time, but I'm becoming more aware of the specifics.
Yes.
And I would like to
So
have
you are
more
working some
preference.
things out in the non-physical reality that you do not prefer to experience in the physical reality. Would you prefer to have them in the physical reality?
Well, at least I could do something about them there. I feel so out of control in my head. You see, and now I'm learning how to use the preference, how to detach negativity from symbols,
Yes.
and look at them in a new unit of time.
Yes. Well, now that you have done it in your physical reality, creative one, why not do it in the dream reality as well?
Well,
most individuals do it in the dream reality first and then see it in the physical reality. You've done it in the physical reality, and now you need to do it in the dream reality.
Right. You see, dream reality to me has a different kind of significance because it's more like a nightmare reality, and I don't prefer that.
Well, do not let it be a thorn any longer, either.
Right. So it is possible, even though I'm asleep, to consciously transform the symbols of my dreams?
Absolutely. So you recognize you always have the same degree of control. And if it is something you have now experienced tangibly, as you say, in the physical reality, then by all means recognize that when you are in your dream reality, you are a thought form in a world of thought forms, and what you think is instantly your reality. Instantly.
Is it something I'm creating, or are
Absolutely.
those symbols from elsewhere, like higher consciousnesses? Or
You are still creating them, no matter where they come from, because you have to create your version of them in order to experience them.
Right. Ironically, last night was all about lost luggage, which I think is pretty humorous, actually, considering what's going on in my life. You know? I have not been able to look at them that lightly until now. However, I get the idea that now that I've looked at a nightmare about lost luggage, not only of myself but of others, and I see the humor in that.
Yes, you are giving new meaning to that reality.
Right, so maybe I'll be able to do that in the future with other dreams or nightmares.
In the what? In the now.
Well, yes, in the now, but in a sleep state. Upon awakening.
But they are becoming one and the same. Right. You are dreaming right now.
I'm still integrating that.
Yes.
Still working on it.
That is all right. Yeah. This is Night of Dreams.
Right, dreams, exactly. Nightmare. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Sure. Hey.
I understand that you might have someone here from Sirius.
Hey.
And I've been working with the Sirius energy for several years, and I wondered if we could have something to give us about the Sirius energy as we work with it, and what he might say about how it connects with Sirius.
The idea, first of all, of what you call... All right. I will let him tell you. One moment. You all ready your time? In this way, the symbol that you have just perceived, the idea that you call in your language the dog. In this way is the symbol in your society of that which performs service. And this is the idea, the representation of what you call the serious energy that is represented by consciousness this evening your time. The idea of service itself, service within the society you have created yourself to be, service within the idea of recognizing yourself as an aspect of the unconditional, loving, infinite of all that is in this way. The idea of serious energy is that which represents in its triad, which is represented by the idea of your planet Earth, the idea of the civilization you call Esotani, the idea of the civilization you call the serious civilization, which is represented by the consciousness in your time. The idea is that it is a threefold trinary idea, you call it triad, each representing a different portion of a consciousness, a whole, total, oversoul idea, which can be represented as the idea of your Earth, filling in the idea of the physiological, the idea of Esotani, filling in the idea of the mental, and the idea of Sirius, filling in the idea of the spiritual connotations of the idea of the oversoul that we represent together as a trinary formation in this way. recognize the timing and the synchronicity of the idea of the hearing of the service of the symbol in this way in your society, the dog. For in this way, recognize that is why you have intuitively called the idea you call Sirius the star, the dog star in this way. In this sense, recognize it is a symbol of service in your society, and in this way, the idea of your willingness, your conviction, your action, your placing of your own hands, the placing of your own physicality upon the world around you, upon the world before you, that which you have created to see in your sight, that which you have created to see before you lay on the table, the spread of the natural table before you, that which you have to draw from, that which sustains you. In this way, all upon that table is what sustains you in your life. And in this way, as you draw from that idea, and knowing that you are nourished with every step you take upon the earth in this way, nourishes you yet again to perform more and more service and increase the accelerated idea of the transformational age in which you have now co-created to exist with everyone else upon your planet in this way. Are we being of assistance to you in this manner? Yes. The idea of the accepting of the willingness of having within yourself the placement of service in your society will only increase the bountiful riches that you experience within yourself to be. The idea of serious energy is one of fluid motion, the idea of what you might call spontaneous choreography, the idea of allowing yourself to know there are many levels of communication taking place between you and every other being within your society at all times, on all levels. Every level you can conceive yourself to exist upon. And in this way, allowing yourself more to be in touch as you are connected to the earth with all the other levels, knowing you are firmly anchored, firmly grounded, and in this way, reaping of the benefit of the earth's vibration as it shoots up within you and solidifies you so that you are a beacon that receives and is sensitized to all the other levels, knowing that because you draw your strength from the earth itself, from the plane in which you exist, none of these other levels that you are in touch with will ever overwhelm you. They will all manifest within you in the way that is appropriate to be manifested through you in your service, because as a beacon and an extension of the planet Earth in which you live in this way, you are then chosen and are expressing the idea of your choice to be of service in this way, and therefore you can simply know, trust, and take it for granted that you are connected to the infinite in this way, and anything that comes through you in this manner that you deem to be what excites you in the form of service as you perform it will always be put forth in unconditional love, in a loving way, and have a great and powerful impact and an effect upon your planet. Do you follow along? Yes. Is this being of service to you?
Yes, it is.
Is there anything else you wish to explore specifically within yourself?
Yes.
Indeed.
I've been doing it for over 4 years, running that service from bringing the serious energy in.
Hey! How have you been forming the idea of service in your planetary sphere? Do you perceive?
How do I perceive it?
How do you perform the idea of service in your planetary sphere?
By bringing the energies in and distributing it on the planet to different areas.
In what manner?
Through meditation.
Involving other individuals or yourself?
With individuals. As a group.
Recognize, therefore, the idea is that you are forming stabilization points around your planet in this way, acting as the idea of an energy vortex, acting as your own energy vortex that is an alignment gate with all different levels of consciousness in this way. As you plant yourself at various positions around your planet, you then allow there to be the keying of the energization of that point in this way, an alignment of those forces, an alignment of the electromagnetic field of your world, so that therefore from that point forward it is as if you are planting flowers in the garden of your planet, and every time another individual will find themselves coming upon that location in which you have existed, in which you have aligned yourself in that way, they will come upon the fragrance of that flower you have planted and see it in full bloom. We thank you for your service in this way.
It's a great joy.
Can you talk more slowly?
We can modulate the energy to some degree.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bashar.
You may, in this way, refer to the as the nomenclature. Chip up. Proceed.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm getting to the point in my dreams where I'm no longer afraid of anything that I'm confronted with, or that it's really a wonderful place to be. I can't say that I've made that in my own physical life, but in my dreams that's true. I don't know how to explain it. right before I came here to California about a month ago, I was in bed with my fiance, and I had just done a meditation trying to connect with a consortium from the Pleiades, my spirit guides from the Pleiades. And it was...
Wait! All right, now you may proceed. Allow me, for the moment, to interact with you in this way, for you will find that at this time, because of blending taking place, the energy level of the serious energy Jabbat in this way will not be something that the physiological channel can sustain for very long. We will continue with you. You are, in this way, as you say, negotiating recognition and contact with Pleiadian energy. Continue.
Right. An entity was actually in my bed with me. And I talked to it. I couldn't move my body.
Okay.
Okay. At first there was
This is a very, very typical phenomena when you are half in and half out of your body. Because the idea is that you think you are still in it and you try to move in the ordinary way, and you cannot move in the ordinary way physically, so you feel you cannot move at all. You feel rigidized.
Right.
It is only because you are not moving in the astral way.
Well,
and it was on that plane that you met the other entity.
Yeah, I didn't feel threatened by this other entity.
Of course not. It is very loving.
Exactly. It was just very curious to me but there was a part of me that was a little fearful, and so in my mind I was speaking to my fiance, and he actually woke up and turned around and hugged me. This entity was holding my hand and wanted to get closer. So I guess I had a little fear of it coming too close. I didn't know I don't know what that was. I don't know. Can you explain?
Recognize the idea of what you call the Pleiadian energy. This is what we can give you at this time, for there are many things still unfolding within your reality, and we cannot spoil all the surprises. But in this way, the idea of the Pleiadian energy is that they are in very many ways, quite literally, in terms of your overall Earth civilization, quite literally your brothers, your sisters, and your cousins.
Yes.
You are offshoots of the same grouping, and in this way you are reforming connections to those who love you there and to those who you love there.
Yeah, I could feel that. It was a little strange. It was a new experience.
That is all right.
This entity has come to me again, but I asked it if it was here to help me in my soul mission, which I feel very clear about, and if it wasn't, for it to leave my bed. And so it left my bed.
It left your bed primarily because you asked it to leave, because it sensed your uncomfortableness. Not that it cannot be of assistance, but the idea, of course, is that it is up to you.
When I'm ready.
Yes.
Right. It was just, okay. Thank you.
Thank you for the blending, and thank you for the crystallization of the vibrations 5 and 7. One moment. There is now an opportunity, not so much for the exact, what you would call continuation of the serious energy, but in a sense an offshoot through another identity that now will begin a bit at a time, a little bit more often in this way, from this point forward, to interact with many of you. In this way, this transference will represent to some degree an ability for the physiological channel to embody the serious energy in a way that is manifestable without the idea of the physical channel becoming, as you say, taxed. Thus you will find that the idea will come through a secondary conduit, a conduit that has been very used to channeling the physiologicalized energy of the serious connection for many, many years, and thus in this way can form a bit of what you would call a buffer between the direct serious energy and the idea of the physiological channel, allowing the energy to come through in a manifestable way. One moment. Please sing your tongue and please you. Please and receive your echo. We share with you life. We share with you brotherhood, sisterhood. We share with you Mother Earth. We bring to you our love, our joy, our harmony, our sharing. We rejoice in you with what we perceive your choices to be now this time of your time, our time of our time, so that we may sing soon together. Waters of life that flow within your ancient dreams, waters of life that you are in our hearts always as we share our ecstasy. We will be communicate, as you say, communicate to our sing song with you again. We joyfully abound in and through the echo of your spirit, your soul, envelops the waters of our lives as we intertwine in love with you. We sing your song. We invite you to sing our song. We will sing together again. This individual will, from time to time, commence communications with you, and you will find that this individual will be most prominently of assistance beginning this night of your night, the night of dreams. For in this way you will find that this individual is what is termed in his society the dreamers. And in this way the dreamers have been assisting you for quite some time, and in this way are assisting in many of the ideas of your dream reality, communicating with you, sharing with you, and also through the idea of the bringing of new dreams into your planetary sphere, specifically the type of new dream you call physiological birth. This individual in time will create an association with you more strongly and more strongly felt. And as was pointed out to you, together you shall learn to sing each other's songs. In this way you will find that this individual and his physical counterparts are with you always, for it is representative of the consciousness of what you call one of your own dolphins. Hey!
What part of the Pacific is that dolphin?
The one you know to be the area you call your New Zealand. For therein, as we have discussed briefly, lies the specific group. You may call them a club if you will, but that is a misnomer, so to speak. And they are represented as the specific group of the dreamers.
Did Joe make specific contacts in Hawaii that he's able to now channel this energy?
There was much blending, and much of that blending has to do with the ability now to receive this love. We thank you.
Bashar?
Yay!
I just need to ask you.
Neat.
Okay, this dolphin dream, when I was swimming with the dolphin under the water, really fast.
Okay.
What's happening? What happened? I felt great for the next.
The idea is that in your dream state, as we say, in an astral form, in an out-of-body form, you share many endeavors with many of the dolphins, and they with you. You swim together in the astral sea. Always. You are the two civilizations, so to speak, to use the term loosely, upon your planet. You are the two sentiencies.
Well, Bashar, I don't really know anything about Atlantis, and I've never had a dream. I've had water dreams before, but I've never had a dream about a dolphin. I've swum in the water, and I've done all kinds of, anti-gravitational kind of things. But as far as swimming with a dolphin,
You are now beginning to recognize those that communicate with you, whereas before it was amorphous.
is this going to
Accelerate.
Yeah.
Yay.
Oh, good.
Also, it is an opportunity to bring that dream into physiological reality by physically interacting with them and entering their world.
In my dream.
In your physical life.
Dolphin?
Yes. There will also be, in times to come, an understanding of another grouping of dolphins that is very active and may become very much more interactive with you in the area you call your Japan. Wakarimata. Hey!
I had an encounter with a group of dolphins 2 weeks ago at Zuma.
Hey.
I swim really closely to them. And
Hey.
never came close to touch any of them.
No.
I was a little bit afraid.
That is all right.
Even though I know they really love humans and they won't do anything, but I guess I was just overwhelmed.
In a sense.
And they left, they came back, they played around for another half an hour, and they catch waves better than some of the surfers there.
They have been at it for a while longer.
And they ride the wave gracefully, and just when I thought they're going to hit me and I'm gone, but blend together, and there won't be countries anymore.
There will not be countries anymore. In this way, it is not so much that all races will completely blend together. You will still maintain many of the distinctions right up to the time where you no longer need to be physical. But it will be more blended. And in terms of what you call politically, it will be completely blended. Again, the idea is that you are forming the foundations now for this, and within the cycle of the next 30 years, you will begin to dissolve those borders. Culminating in approximately 2,000 to 3,000 of your years, you will no longer need to incarnate upon your planet anymore.
So what you're saying, we're going to survive the Third World War?
There will not be a Third World War. You have already decided not to have one. Appearances to the contrary. In fact, the idea of much of what is now, as we have said, coming to the surface, what appears to be an escalation of violence, in a sense is an escalation because you now know it is safe and will not lead to annihilation. You are getting it all out in the open, so to speak. You are making what was formerly hidden open, what was formerly covert overt, so that each and every member of your society now has an opportunity to decide for him or herself, is this what I really want in my civilization, or do I prefer to get involved and change this idea?
That Russian nuclear sub was another example, like Chernobyl.
To some degree, yes.
Coming out of hiding. So
Yay. The idea that the attempt to maintain secrecy now is what will pull you down. There will be, in your turn, a few moments remaining for this interaction this evening of your time. Yes? All right.
I'm just wondering, are you the archetype for this Yoda energy that came through in that Star Wars?
Not me personally.
Yeah, I mean, with still vivid representation and your quick wit and all that. That was question number one. More important to me is that
you are the artist. All of you. All of you.
Bashar, wait.
One moment.
Let me finish. I'm trying to figure something for myself here.
All right.
I read.
Would you like some paper and a pencil?
I'll use these.
All right.
I read a book by Robert Shapiro called Allies.
Okay.
Right, and in it I recognized some information pertaining to holographic projections and people doing this in their homes with sensors in their hands and all this. That was the same information that came to me some 15 years ago in my head when the future self idea came to me.
Right.
And now I'm able to do certain things, in truth and honesty, in the realm of this lifetime, accomplishing things with this future self technique. I do not have a conscious connection with who I am that came back to me to tell me all that.
That is all right.
And I want to know if that information appearing in the Pleiadian book indicates that aspect of me.
There is some of that in connection, yes.
Okay. Is the name Sabot at all?
Yes, but we also perceive that it has much to do with what you would call colloquially some very strong past connections as well. Although there is a flavor of the future connection in it.
Is there any more you can give me on that so I can
no.
Pay extra.
This is the night of dreams. You will have what you need. You. The male.
You have children and a wife?
There are the idea of children. It is not so much the idea colloquially as you understand it that you call a wife. I myself have not created physiological children. In this way, in our society, each and every member is married to every other member of the society. There is not the ritualistic idea of the wife, but that all females in this way are married to all males and vice versa.
Take me there.
Create it on your planet. Then you will be there.
Hey, everybody, want to get there?
You!
I have recurring dreams, a beautiful, beautiful scene of two dolphins standing upright with, gold braids in their mouths that lead to something that looks like a chariot of some kind with many, many beings on this chariot.
These are the dreamers. It is not a literal interpretation, but it is symbolic of their energy and the connections that they have to many other civilizations. For do remember that the dolphins have been in communication telepathically with many civilizations for quite some time.
All right. Anyway, this whole scene seems to move. I don't know how to describe it anyway, and it's a beautiful turquoise and gold, and it seems to be underwater, and it seems not to be underwater.
We understand.
I'd like to understand.
Much of the serious energy will be interpreted as aquatic to you because in a sense they are energy beings, 6th level, energy beings living in an energy sea. Their planet, so to speak, is not a planet so much as it is a sphere of energy. It is represented to you as the idea symbolically of a planetary shape with wide energy in which they are embedded. Their consciousness is embedded, but they also know that their consciousness is made of the same energy. So they are quite homogeneous with it and can, in a sense, be anywhere and everywhere within it. Towards the center is the increase of the blue energy, and towards the very, very, very center is the black hole, doorway, through which they communicate and contact all levels of consciousness and dimensionality as they explore all that is. The idea is that since they exist in a type of energy sea, you usually equate their energy with the idea of the aquatic connection, especially since they have formed such a strong identification with the dolphins upon your planet. So it is in the water and it is not at the same time. Communication that has come from them to your civilization in what you call the past has usually rendered a symbolic interpretation of them as an amphibious god.
Yes.
Bashar.
Yay.
would be...
I have had a vision.
All right,
for
then you continue.
a long time that we would evolve on this planet to the point where men and women would share love with each other without possessiveness,
Yes.
and without expectation,
Yes.
much as your civilization knows.
Yes.
And I see this accelerating in the
Yes.
fourth density
Yes.
as we move into that.
Yes.
What's your prediction on
I have
how-
no prediction.
Okay. But I feel that it's happening
Yes.
faster and
Yes.
faster as we release a lot of our need for negative experience.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Female.
See that the angelic or Vedic kingdom will have a big play in bringing a new phase of civilization.
In very many ways, but again recognize that the big play they will have in this way is in interacting with your energy. Then they allow you to see within yourselves the same angelic energy, and to allow yourselves to know, therefore, that if you are connected to them, you yourselves can create heaven on earth.
That's what I thought. It helps us to bring heaven to earth.
Yes.
That would help to change us from the human into the angelic being.
Basically, okay. After, as we have said, approximately a couple of thousands of your years, you will no longer need to physically incarnate upon your planet, and you will exist on what you call the angelic levels.
That's what I was wondering.
But do recognize that some of the representations of what you perceive to be angelic energy are actually consciousnesses that in your terms have never had any physiological experience at all.
That's true.
In this way, therefore, recognize that the level of angelic experience that you will also, as having existed as physiological beings, create for yourselves, will to some degree, now this is not in any way, shape, or form meant as a comparison of better or worse or any of that, but simply recognize that because of your particular ability to have absorbed the experience of the physicalized side of creation, then the angelic beings you will be those that in a sense will be, quote-unquote, a little bit more completed of an idea, since you will contain a particular aspect of the universe that the original angelic beings do not contain.
Thank you.
You follow me?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. My, what a pretty song. All right.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
I wanted to ask the significance of...
Significance?
Okay.
You supply the meaning.
Okay. You speak often of blue and...
Okay. The electromagnetic energy vibration.
Of blue.
Blue.
Yeah. It comes to me a lot, and it comes to me in my meditations, the
Yes.
entities that I've been channeling
Yes.
claim to be blue people, blue entities, that their skin tone is blue.
This is to some degree a Lemurian connection.
A what?
Lemurian.
What is that?
It is what predates as a civilization what you call Atlantis, where there were, in your terms, blue-skinned individuals. It represents a rising now of your intuitiveness, because you will find that that civilization was almost primarily instinctive and did not operate analytically at all. Very intuitive, very in touch with nature. And so these formations and these connections you are now making, these intuitive connections into the telepathy and mentality of your civilization, accessing those levels puts you back squarely in touch with the existences you had back then. Now that you can form the idea of a connection, you have gone full cycle, full circle, coming within physical reality in the earth plane, and now creating the idea that accelerates you out of physical reality in the earth plane, so you bring the beginning, quote unquote, and the ending together in the same place and communicate with, in a sense, your past selves.
God, that's great. Oh, that's so exciting.
I see.
Two past lives coming together. I mean, I knew the connection that they spoke of when they had come through the first time was that the connection was made in Atlantis,
Okay.
and
Atlantis was the extension and offshoot of Lemuria. Much the same way that what you now call your present United States of America was an offshoot of what you call England.
It's really neat to know. So that's what the blue is. And
it is also indicative of the telepathic connection in mentality to all in your civilization.
I thought I saw also a spaceship a couple of nights ago. It was like there was like a blue light that was up. It was just I'm real bad with directions, but it was north or west of the North Star, and it was blue, and there was like a ray of light shining down from it, and then
probably west.
West. Okay.
The direction of Lemuria.
Right. It was so. I saw that. I mean, like I saw it for a couple of nights, and then the clouds and stuff were there, and I wasn't able to view it.
Yes.
But I felt real strong connection
Yes.
coming from the light.
Yes. It was pointing the way to the connection you are making.
Thank you. It's wonderful.
Thank you.
Bashar.
You.
I had a question concerning porpoises, and are they communicating to us right now something about a physiological birth?
Yes. That is, as we have said, the idea is that they assist you most often in your dreams and in the realization of your dreams coming into physical reality, especially the assistance with birth at this time, which is also an Arcturus connection.
And have you, I don't know if you've talked about this already, but what exactly is it has to do with underwater birth or?
You are physiologically symbolizing some of their connection in that way by recognizing that some of the underwater birthings may allow for different advantages, as you call it, to be maintained within the physical body of the child that you give birth to. And in this way you will find that in times when you have the idea of dolphins in the water that you are giving birth within, there is some communication immediately between the dolphins and the child that allows them to acclimate telepathically to the environment much more quickly and much more smoothly. In this way, however, recognize that all you need to do is call in your imagination the idea of the dolphin energy when you are giving birth anywhere, and you will surround yourself, if you are willing, and let them surround you with the energy of the support that the seed provides. And the entire idea, if you also let the child be of assistance in its own birth, will be a supportive one that will involve absolutely no pain.
How do you let the child be of assistance? Is that a communication?
Yes. Simply know that you are in communication with that child and that this whole thing is not on your shoulders. You do not have to bear the brunt of the entire idea. That is the only thing that causes the pain.
Is there something about the underwater birth besides the telepathic communication with dolphins that enable some sensitive areas physically?
Oh, yes. You see, in this way, recognize that the child is using less oxygen. More of it is going into the brain. You follow me?
Yes, I do.
It allows the child to maintain an easier rate, a slower pace of acclimatization. It is, in your terms, simply and most obviously, less traumatic.
So what is the outcome of that in terms of the way that a child would develop?
A more relaxed individual, a more centered individual. And also an individual more in touch and sensitive to other communications around them in the sea in which they exist. Now, the idea of the underwater birth does not mean that every single one of you should run out and have your children underwater. Each and every person will feel when they are so attracted and so inclined, and when that is necessary. For a while, it is not necessary for all, and it may never become completely necessary for anyone. But in this way, it is one symbol to draw yourself into more immediate and intimate connection with the other civilization upon your planet that is willing to be of assistance in those birthings, and depart and impart some of their ecstasy to the entire idea. So, as we have said, no matter what situation you find yourself within, call upon that assistance, and you will have that love, and the love will support the entire event. All right?
Yes, thank you.
Sure.
You.
I once worked with some people who were representing that they worked with underwater births, but one was a con man, and two were not really doing it. And at the time, I really wanted to work with some people and learn from them about underwater births. I love
reading about it. I
Okay.
love,
Then first you have given yourself an opportunity to recognize when integrity is being applied to this idea and when it is not. For this recognition will also serve you in what you call the future. For the idea of the maintenance of integrity is, as you say, of paramount importance when dealing with the dolphin consciousness. At this time, we will extend to you once again our appreciation in allowing us to experience the unconditional love of your consciousness, for you are a gift to us and all that is, in the willingness to express the facets of the multidimensional crystal that you are uniquely your own. In this way, we remind you that this is Night of Dreams, and this goes for the entire idea of moving into fourth density. This is Life of Dreams. This is dreams that we share together forever. We thank you and extend our unconditional love to you all. We will see you in your dreams in many different ways. You will see us in many different ways, no matter what the symbology, the energy of all that is, the energy of the association, the energies of the dolphins, your own higher energies, your own guides, your own assistants, your own energy is all accessible to you through the doorways of your dreams. Thank you for allowing us to love you. A fond good night.
Good night.
Everything go.
1 year.